Everyone, this is Aya. I'm in my pajamas and I'm very tired. This says I heart boba. Happiness you can taste. I'm very tired, but I really wanted to tell the stories. This is the original story that made me want to do like the story time thing, and it's fucking crazy. So I'm gonna like try and skim through the beginning because really the end is the craziest part and it's really fucking juicy, right? So okay, so I have this friend, let's call him Jerry. We hang out a lot. We hang out with groups a lot. At some point we talk extensively about the fact I need to get laid because I'm a single mom. I don't go clubbing. I don't meet people, right? He knows my brother and sister who live upstairs. My brother-in-law and my sister who live upstairs. They live in the same complex. That's relevant. So I say I need to get laid. Hey, what about you, Jerry? You want to do it? Because I know he's single, right? I've done this before with friends. I never had a problem. Well, I only done it once, but I didn't have a problem at that time with the friend. Okay, so he tries to make excuses, blah, blah, blah. He makes excuses. He tries to come over. Finally comes over. He asked me on a date, like, alone. And I'm like, no, sorry. You know, like, let's just be friends. I don't mind. You don't have to do this. Comes over and he's like, I've never done it before with just my friend. I don't want to ruin our friendship. And I'm like, bro, don't worry. You don't have to do it then, you know? Like, by the way, I had blonde hair at the time. Blonde ass hair. And he said, oh, it's like my dream come true, but blah, 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 right? Every excuse in the world. So it turns out he couldn't get it up. He could not get it up. I used my magic. He gets it up for like long enough to put a condom on. And that's it. So we don't do it. He says he'll come over the next day and try again. He tries again. He was drunk as fuck. He tried to make excuse. Whatever. You know, that's fine. And then he kept trying to get me to, like, say that I wasn't his friend. I was more than that, right? Like, no, just, you know, it's fine. Let's just not do this, right? A few weeks go by. We talk a little bit, just chatting on text, right? And he's totally getting into, like, the alcohol right now. Like, I could tell he was landsliding into his alcoholism. We already knew he's an alcoholic. We knew that he went over to be with his girlfriend long distance, and we knew that the cops had to escort him out and that she kicked him out. So we knew there was, like, domestic violence going on there. We just didn't know what. Okay. So then I start seeing him check in over near me. And on his check-ins or his Snapchats, I could hear a voice that I thought was vaguely familiar. I was like, oh, this person sounds familiar. That laugh, I know that laugh, right? So then I heard, oh, hey, he saw my brother-in-law with the new dog, and so he must be over here. He must be dating someone over here. I thought, oh, good, he's dating again. He's dating somewhere over near me, right? So then I hear that his car is parked in my complex. Now, I'm the property manager here, so I know everyone. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm so happy for him. I thought he's dating a Korean girl here. He's Korean. I'm like, great. And he texted my brother, like, there's so many Korean girls at your apartment complex. So obviously it was implied that he was going to date one of the Korean girls at my apartment complex. So I'm like, I'm going to check the videos and see like which parking spot he parked in, because I'm really curious and I'm totally nosy and I wanted to know who he's dating. So I was like, it's so cute. Okay, so I thought nothing of it. But before I got the chance to do that, I got a text message on a Sunday night from my literal next door neighbor. And she said, hey, I'm so sorry to bother you. Can you come over? I gotta talk. And I'm like, sure, of course. And I don't even worry about it. So I go over there and she says, we have a mutual friend. And I already knew it was Jerry. She is a blonde, blue eyes, looks like me. We work in the same field. We have so similar in personality. We both know the song Kanashimi Blue by Kinky Kids, which is an old-ass Japanese song. Like, that's how deeply similar we are. And I knew right then that it was her. So, she tells me that apparently Jerry took her to a Korean barbecue. They'd been dating a while. He took her to this Korean barbecue where some friends were celebrating their engagement. This is a beautiful black female, beautiful Asian male. Well, not sure about how beautiful he is, but whatever. Okay, so, and it's relevant because Jerry is Asian, and I don't know. Okay, so, um, they go out to this barbecue, and he gets really drunk, and he starts yelling at her. Like, he starts yelling at my neighbor. And apparently he got so mad, like, they went outside, because she's like, you gotta calm down, like, keep your voice down. They went outside, and he was so aggressive with her. When she's telling me this, she's like, he was, like, coming at me, and she was shaking and crying when she's telling me this. She was shaking and crying. I could tell that he left, like, a deep impact on her. And I'm like, God, I'm so sorry. And then he got in his car, did some circles, and drove off, drunk. He left her there in the parking lot. In the ghetto. We live in the hood, by the way. And he was taking her to a place in the hood. He left her in the hood. Alone. No taser. No nothing. Just left her there. What the fuck? So I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? So I guess, like, you know, I talked to the friends who were celebrating the engagement. I knew them through I'd known them through other friends. And she's like, look, I just want to tell you this because I don't want him to use you as an excuse to get in to the property and then try and do something. I thought, no way he'd do that. But just in case, I went upstairs to tell my brother-in-law and my sister, who also live here. So I'm like, don't worry about it. He's not coming on the property. Okay, so I didn't think anything of it until 2 days later. My brother says, Jerry's trying to get on the property. He had texted my brother to say, I have a package for you. And my brother was like, no, you don't. Like, I don't need anything from you. He's like, you're right. It's actually for your neighbor. Can you let me in? And my brother is like, no, as I am, right? So he comes to me and he says, hey, I have a package for your brother. Excuse me? So I'm like, I talked to him and you definitely don't have a package for him. And he's like, oh, you're right. It's for your neighbor. And I'm like, well, I talked to my neighbor and you're definitely not going to be able to come on the property. And if you do, I'll kill you. So he says, because he said he would be there in 10 minutes. So me and my brother stand guard in the front to make sure he doesn't show up after 10 minutes, right? So we stay there like 20 minutes just to make sure, absolutely sure. And then she calls the cops because I'm like, hey, neighbor, he's trying to get in. You were right. He is trying to get in. Obviously, he's threatening. Let's call the cops. She calls the cops. Okay, cops come out. I tell him, look, don't fuck with my tenants. I'm really protective of my tenants. And particularly, I rented this unit to her. She's my neighbor. I rented it to her. I feel very personally offended by it. And obviously, she's so similar to me that it's freaky. It's really freaky. After I had rejected him, you know? It's just very weird. So, okay, so the whole fiasco blows over. The next day, he sends my brother this long rambling text message about how he never abused his ex-girlfriend. He just threw a chair at her, at the back of her head, and it connected to her head. He said, you can decide if that's abuse. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's abuse, bro. Okay, so now we all know he's a fucking psychopath. And we kind of like cut things off, right? And I'm like, hey, neighbor, you should file a restraining order. That way he's also got a restraining order that will protect me and my baby because we used to be friends. So, you know, she hasn't yet. A couple days pass again, and she gets a letter in the mail. A snail mail letter. Shit you not. Oh, I just want to backtrack a little. He had told me that actually he was going to go pick up some stuff that he left at her house. I'm like, bitch, she said you blocked for 3 days. There's no way you're picking up stuff at her house. Then he told me he wanted to deliver a letter of apology to her. Bitch, no you don't. So anyway, he sends her this letter. This letter is so long and rambling, and it's typeset in that cursive font, and it's 2 pages long, and it is this real small font that's like kind of cursive, and it just goes on and on and on. Generally speaking, it said, I'm so sorry, there's no excuse. However, you were talking too much to the guy who got engaged. So it's actually your fault. First off, why would she be talking to the guy who got engaged? He's engaged. Also, wouldn't you want a girl who charms your friends? I do. I like to charm people. I am all fucking charming as fuck when I meet my boyfriend's friends, if I had a boyfriend, but I don't. But that's a whole nother story. And I've met all of my kind of partner's friends. Okay, sorry. I'm really tired. Okay. So you think the story is over? There's just one letter of psychopathy? No. 2 weeks later, she opens her mailbox again. And there is another letter. This letter is 2 pages long. And it's a whole list of things that he misses about her. Some of the highlights include: I miss sending you selfies. I miss the thrill of sending you selfies. What else is it? Dude. Oh, I miss sitting on your couch. That was a good one too. Like, this is so funny. I can't get over it. I cannot get over it. And actually, I've been making jokes about it ever since. And luckily, she's a good sport. She has my kind of evil sense of humor. So, everything, I just like, oh yeah, I need to send you selfies. Oh man, it's funny. So, anyway, so this psychopath guy gets rejected by me, dates my fucking doppelganger, who is my next door neighbor. Okay, and by the way, we've started to hang out. Like, I brought her over to karaoke with some of my friends, and she is so fucking cool. She's so similar, with all these similar interests as me, and my twin sister, of course. And I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, we even sang this old school Japanese song as a Kinky Kids, Kanashimi Blue. You do not meet like some blonde ass white girl, and she's in the same industry. She works in the same industry as me. She does kind of similar thing as me, like everything. I love her. She's great. But holy fuck, this guy's a psycho. So now we eagerly await. So now we're just waiting for the next letter. I do hope she does file a restraining order. But if it takes the next letter, then that's fine. This letter, by the way, ended, I miss us. I miss wondering if you're the one. I miss us. And of course you're not wondering if she's, obviously she's not the one. You fucking yell at her and leave her abandoned in a parking lot in the middle of the hood. But this was a fucking weird. But it has brought us closer together. So there you go. Everything happens for a reason. That was it. End of story. I'm tired. I'm gonna go take a nap.